I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them blue.
Welcome to Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, powered by Jack's Angels, where we talk about your experiences, advocacy news, research, and today's heroes for kids. We are here to bring hope to the unthinkable but real experience of a child diagnosed with cancer. Jack's Angels advocacy mission is to provide a voice for children with cancer to effect change for a more hopeful future for those to come. Childhood Cancer Talk Radio starts right now. Here is your host, Janet Demeter.
Welcome to Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where kids come first for the cure. I'm Janet Demeter, your host. And if you're a first-time listener, Childhood Cancer Talk Radio aims to provide for families, caregivers, researchers, doctors, industry professionals, those most concerned with children afflicted with cancer, a forum from which they can share their experience and raise awareness for issues affecting these children. And most importantly, a sense of community, awareness, and education for all. So if you have a story for us, write to us at cctalkradio@gmail.com. That's cctalkradio@gmail.com. Childhood Cancer Talk Radio is brought to you in part by Jack's Angels Foundation for Pediatric Brain Tumor Awareness and Research and Advocacy for Children with Cancer on the web at jacksangels.org. So why is advocacy so important? Well, briefly, far too many children have few solutions, if any, for their affliction. The statistics for pediatric cancer survival are somewhat deceptive with regard to pediatric cancer research, showing 1 out of 5 children succumbing and dying to cancer in general. While we have made much progress in the treatment of blood cancers in the last 40 years due to research for adults, which has been modified for children, and has been successful for the most part, brain cancer and those almost exclusively pediatric cancers have dismally low survival rates with little progress in prognosis or standard treatment protocol in over 50 years. Just this year, brain cancer has surpassed blood cancer and pediatric cancer incidence in the United States, and it remains the leading cause of death in children with cancer. Despite these facts, this remains one of the least funded areas of cancer research in both the private sector and our governments. Many neuro-oncologists agree that finding solutions for these children is a matter of time and money for research, the former depending upon the latter. Currently, less than 4% of our National Cancer Institute budget, our tax dollars in the United States, purpose for cancer research, benefits pediatric cancer as a whole, that research, with, of course, much less than that benefiting research for the number one killer of our kids with cancer, brain cancer. Dipg, diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, the second most common pediatric brain tumor with the lowest survival rate, is responsible for roughly 80% of pediatric brain tumor deaths annually in the U.S. alone. Unfortunately, little has changed in the standard treatment protocol or in prognosis since Neil Armstrong's daughter died of it in 1962. Parents can choose from phase 1 clinical trials, which are not easy to get into, radiation, or sometimes simply hospice as standard options. Systemic chemotherapy has been largely ineffective. And so directly accessing the tumor and finding better chemotherapy solutions are also the inspiration for innovation, which has, for our guest today, given hope for survival with the catheter-enhanced direct delivery system to the tumor developed in the United Kingdom with Dr. Stephen Gill. This research represents the frontiers of our science and medicine and neuro-oncology and neurosurgery. Our guest today, Emma Wrenn, and her daughter Keira come to us from this perspective, true pioneers in pediatric cancer research. From a seemingly happy, healthy, and carefree young girl of 5 years, she mysteriously collapsed and was diagnosed from an MRI scan with this horrible monster of which her family had never heard, Dipg, which has a median survival time of 9 months with radiation treatment. Because of a clinical trial with Dr. Stephen Gill at the University of Bristol in the UK, Keira is alive and doing remarkably well today despite multiple surgeries and infusions. Her story is an inspiration for pediatric cancer research and collaboration. Emma, welcome to the show today. We're so grateful to you for taking this time.
Hi, Janet, and thank you for your lovely words.
Oh, of course, of course. I'm now, just so our audience knows, Emma's been with us before. It was some months ago. And so I've been really excited to hear some really good news for updates for her. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, back in January, Keira was diagnosed with a secondary tumour. So we couldn't have more infusions, but we had more radiation. The radiation showed on an MRI scan in June that at present there is no evidence of tumour in her brain, but she does have 2 small cysts present.
That's amazing.
It is.
So the secondary tumour, was it, what was it exactly? Do they know?
They don't know if it was a cast off of the Dipg tumour. They don't know. It was just outside the pons. So when they re-radiated that, they decided that they would hit both tumours at the same time.
Wow.
And we got remarkable results.
That's fantastic. So she's been tumor-free for how long?
Since June.
Since June. That's wild. Oh my gosh. This is so cool. The reason why I'm so excited is, from what I said for my introduction, this, DIPG has been a death sentence for the most part for a long time. And, you go in, you get the diagnosis. It's hard to get people to look you in the eye. You're like, what? And you never heard of this thing before. And Emma, this gives us so much hope. Tell us a little bit about what life is like for Keira now.
Life it's different. It's sometimes difficult. When Keira took part in the CED trial in Bristol last October, she developed a condition called Posterior Fossa syndrome, which basically meant her brain shut down and she lost her gross motor skills, her fine motor skills, the ability to swallow, the ability to talk. She has had to learn from scratch everything she relearned as a baby, and we are still learning. We was in hospital for 3 months prior to the surgery for the CED and the infusions. We was released just before Christmas last year. At the time she wasn't mobile. She relearned to crawl Christmas Day, and 2 days later she did walk. But it is a learning curve. We are learning every single day.
Wow. Yeah, anytime we're dealing with the brain, it's serious matter. And could you tell us a little bit more about that syndrome she developed? Because is this typical? How often does this happen?
Posterior Fossa syndrome is typical with brain surgery, but as we know, DIPG is not generally operated on. When we went to Bristol, Keira's tumour was the largest they had treated, but she was symptom-free and physically strong, so they continued to do it. But the surgery took its toll on her body, and then we had the infusions, and that again took its toll, and all that just added up to her brain closing down in order to repair itself.
Wow. And this was after how long had she been in treatment already?
At that point we was already 14 months past a DIPG diagnosis.
Wow. Okay. So take us back a little bit. I know you've been on before and shared your story, but just to let people know, this isn't something you get wind of before it happens. It's
oh no,
right?
It certainly comes out of the blue.
Yeah, and I was also reading from. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
Keira was your average 5-year-old child back in 2014. She'd been at school. We went on holiday and she collapsed in the sea. There had been no warnings prior to that. 2 months previously, she took and passed her BALI exam. And then an MRI showed Dipg.
Wow. And you said you had been, were you on holiday? Was that what I had read? And something happened?
We was on holiday in the south of the UK, and it was just a normal day. She'd been enjoying a holiday. We'd gone to the seaside because it was a really nice day, so we took a picnic, as you do. She was paddling in the sea with me, and she collapsed. Her dad pulled her out of the sea, and I resuscitated her.
Wow. And then you find out it's Dipg.
Yeah, and it blows our world wide open.
What were some of your first steps that you had to take? What did you do?
Because we were so far down south and several hours away from where we actually live, we transferred to a closer hospital. The hospital we transferred to is still 2 hours away from us because we don't have a children's oncology near us, but it was still closer than where we were. And the first steps was we had to get her back on her feet because she had a lot of brain swelling. So we had steroids, and then we went straight into radiation.
Wow. And was it the standard 6 weeks?
It was, yes, 30 sessions, 6 weeks.
Okay. And what came next? How did you get involved with this, with the clinical trial and Dr. Gill?
Keira, I am going to correct you a little bit there. Keira's not on the clinical trial. Keira's being treated compassionately. The clinical trial hasn't actually opened as of yet.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah, tell us about that.
We actually heard of the clinical trial through Facebook. Facebook can be a wondrous thing, but it can also be a curse at times.
Wow.
Our oncologist then sent her scans off to Stephen Gill, and it went from there, and it happened pretty quick.
Wow. Well, you're listening, folks out there, you're listening to Childhood Cancer Talk Radio. I'm Janet Demeter, your host. I'm talking to Emma Wrenn about the experience with a Dipg diagnosis and an amazing clinical or experimental trial that basically is keeping her alive today because of the results of that. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Stay tuned. Janet will be right back with more on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where kids come first for the cure.
Information about book publishing is power. The power to change your authoring life and the power to change the lives of your readers. So join us for Your Guide to Book Publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. You'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now. As the book shepherd, Dr. Judith Briles is in. And each week, she will include publishing professionals that will reveal tips and secrets to the author's journey. If there is a book in you want to listen, learn, and yes, call in with your questions each week. For more on Judith and what she can do for you, check out her website, thebookshepherd.com. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author You and The Book Shepherd with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific.
It's merging neighborhood.
When residents of Alligator Point, Florida, discovered a 400-pound gaberlunzie bear raiding their garbage, they called the local wildlife authorities. The officers came out and shot the bear with a tranquilizer dart in order to move him. Unexpectedly, the frightened bear swam out into the water, where it started to drown as the tranquilizer began taking effect. Adam Warwick, an officer from the Wildlife Commission, jumped into action, swimming towards the juggernaut bear, while the other officers tried to figure out how to rescue both of them. Adam was somehow able to grab the bear and paddle 25 yards to the shore, saving the bear's life. The bear was then loaded on a truck and transported back to its home in the forest. What's the word for a last-minute attempt to get something done? A charrette.
It's merging neighborhood.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
more great conversation on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, because every child's life deserves hope. Here's Janet.
And we're back with Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where every child is a life, not a number, on toginet.com. Childhood Cancer Talk Radio is brought to you in part by Jack's Angels Foundation for Pediatric Brain Tumor Awareness and Support, and advocacy for children with cancer on the web at jacksangels.org. I'm Janet Demeter, your host, and I'm talking today with Emma Wrenn, mother of Keira, pioneering survivor of the dreaded Dipg, diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma. And Emma, before the break, do I hear Miss Keira?
Yeah, Keira is awake a little bit.
Is she going to join us a little bit?
I'm sure Keira would like to say hello. Hang on.
Yay!
I'll take you over to her.
That's great. Emma was telling me before the break about how she discovered this amazing clinical trial.
Can you say a quick hello to Janet? It's not video like with Auntie Lisa. You've got to say hello, but she can hear you.
Hi, Keira. How are you? It's so great to hear your voice. So great to hear you, honey.
You're supposed to be sleeping, though. You go back to sleep, baby. She's going back to sleep, Janet.
Okay. So how old is she now? Is she 7?
Keira celebrated her 8th birthday in September. Yeah.
Wow. 8 is great.
A real big milestone, because we didn't even think she'd see a 7th, let alone her 8th.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. So before the break, you were telling me how you discovered the CED, the catheter enhanced delivery, via Facebook. Now, just quickly let people know, this is so important. This is such an important innovation, because systemic chemotherapy, the normal thing where you get the IV and they put the medicine in you and it's supposed to kill the cancer, it doesn't go to the Dipg tumor. Brain cancer is very hard that way, especially this one, right? Because it's in the brainstem.
Yeah, in the UK, systematic chemo isn't given for Dipg. I know it is. It's part of the treatment plan in America.
Sometimes.
But in the UK, it isn't given full stop, because scientific evidence proves it doesn't get there.
Right. So this is really, really important, because through this catheter delivery system, which is an amazing feat of neurosurgery, right, in and of itself.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
It's direct delivery of the medicine to the tumor. And Keira, yeah, go ahead.
It's getting chemo directly into where it needs to go, which can easily cross that blood-brain barrier, which is the biggest hurdle in treating Dipg. Truly
that, and also now they're working on, with genomic sequencing, and the Children's Oncology Group with combination therapy development, trying to find the right thing to put in there. That's another piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, right? It's all a big jigsaw puzzle. It's swings and roundabouts.
But your daughter has really played a key role in developing the therapy, and she can be really proud of that. Gosh, and you must be too as a mom.
I'm super proud. We've had ups and we've had downs, but she's here to tell the tale. She laughs. She wakes me up at 4 o'clock in the morning wanting to put the Christmas tree up.
That's great.
No, it's not. Believe me.
It's not.
Not when I'm wanting to sleep and she's wanting to play. But she's here and she makes us laugh.
Yes, it's a quality problem. I always tell people.
It is, yes, definitely.
And so you're in the little town of Alford in Lincolnshire?
We are.
And what was that like for your town and your neighbors and your community? What if anything, effect did it have on them, and how did they react? And have they been very supportive?
They have been amazing. I mean, it's a very small town. I've lived here all my life, so I know pretty much everyone anyway. But when Keira was first diagnosed and I first went public on Facebook with that information, the town was amazing. They did so much fundraising for us, because Keira wanted to go to Disneyland in Paris to meet Minnie and Mickey, her idols. They've done all sorts. They are truly amazing. And the school Keira attends is probably, in comparison to your schools, a lot smaller, but it's quite a big school for around here. They're amazing. The head teacher, she rang me because it was summer holidays here. She rang me there and then, and she's kept in touch regular. I honestly can't fault anybody here.
That's wonderful. It really does take a community, and they always seem to play a central role with those outstanding cases you hear of where it can be an extremely isolating disease. And honestly, the fact that you found on Facebook this treatment in 2014, just a few years earlier, it was very hard to find anything on Facebook about Dipg. So we really need to credit it, don't we? The growth of social media and support. And I'll just I'll go on a little bit about this to our guests here. I think it was at the end of 2011 when we found out about Dipg. Nobody knew about it. There weren't really any visible groups or support groups. And because of the way the diagnosis was given, and you're told basically it's so rare, it's like you live on Antarctica, and it's so awful a thing. It's not like you want to go, sharing with everyone. It's so devastating that you just have to process the blow for a while. And now it's quite different insofar as the social media landscape and the social landscape and a sense of online community and camaraderie, even in the worst moments, is a very powerful force and very helpful force. And it's so heartening to me to see people really benefiting from it. And in this case, Emma, your daughter Keira was able to get this life-saving experimental treatment because of Facebook. Tell me about how you found it.
Facebook can be a world of information. It can also be your biggest curse at times. There are several Dipg groups on Facebook where information can travel very, very quickly. And I come across this and I knew instantly it was something I wanted to look into. But I don't jump into anything feet first. I actually spoke to Anna Brooks, whose little girl Daisy was the first child to have the port fitted. And I spoke about her experiences and her perspective on things. I also spoke to Lisa Spadali. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong, Lisa. Whose daughter Keira was Stephen's second child, but the first American child. And speaking to both of them helped me make my mind up on what I wanted to do, because I think it's important to know the doctor, know the hospital, and speak to the parents first before making any decisions.
Absolutely. And the fact that you could even do that is amazing. Sometimes a person will just end up at a certain institution. They have what they have and don't realize, at least now, I'm just so heartened by the growth of Dipg awareness and for brain cancers in general. It's, I think it's because of parents like yourself, people rallying for awareness, because these children's lives matter. And it's the whole idea of their numbers not being worth investing in, which is what I heard when my son was diagnosed, and that's why there was nothing for him.
I heard that as well when Keira was diagnosed.
You?
I did. And when Keira was diagnosed, at that point, there was no other child in the UK that we could find. So it was a very lonely time.
Yes.
I spoke to Mandy several times from Abby's Army, and even she wasn't aware of any other children at that point in time.
Well, they don't tell
in
you,
the UK.
too. They don't tell you either, because there are.
They don't. You've got to find them out.
there.
There are, because we were told that it affects around 35, 40 children in the UK per year. I know that the hospital we're based at, Keira, is the only DIPG child at present.
Mm-hmm.
And in comparison to America, the UK is not that big. But there must have been children out there. But it was lonely, a very, very lonely time.
Well,
We'd got this diagnosis.
Yeah.
And didn't know where to go, what to do, what to expect.
That's terrifying. I mean,
very.
Same here. But there were 6 other kids being seen for DIPG at Children's Hospital Los. I had no idea, though. So now it's better because people are more. I mean, I know we have different rules in our government about what kind of information you can transmit, but it just seems like because of the social media, it's easier. It's easier to find others. It still doesn't mean there are going to be some people out there who don't use it. Period, because it's devastating.
Yeah, that is true. I'm in touch at the moment with probably half a dozen UK families whose children are currently fighting DIPG, but that's a very small figure because of what we are told, that it affects 35 to 40 children. So there are going to be more parents out there.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out, I don't know what the exact population is or general population is of UK, but I know we have anywhere from 200 to 400 incidents a year. But when they all die, a few decades goes by and you've got, that's a lot of kids. And they matter.
It's too many. It's
way too many. Especially when they say one's too many, and then you get an answer like that. But we're going to take another quick break for these messages from our TogiNet sponsors. I'm Janet Demeter for Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, and I'm talking today with Emma Wrenn, mom to our star Keira Wrenn, DIPG research pioneer. Don't go away.
Stay tuned. Janet will be right back with more on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where kids come first for the cure.
It's words you never heard.
When airplanes first began carrying passengers, everyone was treated to first-class accommodations. Caviar and sandwiches were presented on porcelain plates, with beverages served in crystal. Flying was truly a special event, as passengers wore suits and evening dresses. What do you call a person who is afraid to fly? An aeroacrophobic. The airlines required stewardesses to be unmarried, and many were nurses as well. To be a pilot was respected and revered. What do you call a person who chooses a career based on the glamorous image it conveys? A Modoc. A typical flight in those days from London to Singapore would cost over $17,000 today and take 8 days. What's another word for jet lag? Dysrhythmia.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
In today's business world, a helping hand or idea that doesn't come with an invoice is a treasured find. And if that happens to you, then you need to pay it forward to keep other entrepreneurs from making mistakes or getting a raw deal. It's called Paying It Forward with Josephine Gerasi, Wednesday mornings at 10, 9 a.m. Central. Josephine is going to have the guests describe their accomplishments, the lessons they've learned, both good and bad, and then sharing those pieces of knowledge as we create a movement of paying it forward. For more information about Josephine, her business, and background, you can go to mymomknowsbest.com. Josephine Gerasi has always been a problem solver. She saw this need and has turned it into a movement. It's Paying It Forward with tips, tools, and advice and hard lessons learned. These pieces of knowledge can make a huge difference for you, your business, and others. So join us for Paying It Forward with Josephine Gerasi, Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
You'll always have
welcome back to more great conversation on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, because every child's life deserves hope. Here's Janet.
And welcome back to Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where kids come first for the cure. I'm Janet Demeter, your host, and we're here today with Emma Wrenn, mom to Keira in the UK. Mum to Keira. We're talking to someone in the UK, discussing the realities of Dipg, diffuse intrinsic pontine glioma, and the realities of childhood cancer research today. Dipg has been the focus for several of our shows, mainly because it represents one of the frontiers of research, but equally a rallying point for parents advocating for an increase in government funding for pediatric cancer research in general. For decades, parents have been expected to simply accept that there are no solutions for their children because their numbers didn't warrant research investment. I'm not making this up, folks. So on top of a terminal diagnosis has been the message that for all practical purposes, their lives don't matter to the system. Of course, this is not what anyone would want or expect, but it is, in all practicality, the reality that these families experience. In this way, Dipg represents a problem common to most all pediatric cancers. Research is systematically underfunded and the problem ignored for the most part. No one wants to think about children dying, much less taking responsibility for it. So the burden has remained for the most part with the bereaved parents or parents of the afflicted. Collectively, from a grassroots level, a good deal of pediatric cancer research is funded that way, an undue burden for the bereaved, certainly. So I like to encourage our listeners to please give to your local charity, which raises funds for pediatric cancer research. This is the way that most pediatric cancer research is funded, whether you believe it or not. It really is collectively. So right now, and this is just a Dipg fundraising that's happening here in the United States over Thanksgiving time, Michael Mosier Defeat Dipg Foundation is having a Double Your Impact campaign for November 29th, Giving Tuesday, where they are hoping to raise $50,000 in that one day for Dipg research through companies donating matching funds. Visit defeatdipg.org for more information on that. Also, if you like walking or running for a cause, or riding, that's right, same for riding your horse, you can participate in Jack's Angels Relay for Research virtual Uberthon series at www.curedipg.org. Until December 2nd, registrations are being accepted for the All Souls Memorial, for which you receive a unique medallion, number, bib, and stopwatch. Post your pictures on our Facebook page, Jack's Angels Foundation. Proceeds benefit Dipg research at the Children's Cancer Therapy Development Institute. The next Uberthon is for 2017, Year of Miracles, and then Relay for Jack in the spring. United States citizens, if you are called to advocacy but don't know where to start, please visit our advocacy page at www.jacksangels.org. Several bills need your support moving into the next year's Congress. The 21st Century Cures Act, the Childhood Cancer STAR Act, Survivorship, Treatment, Access, and Research, and then the National Dipg Awareness Resolution, which is the only bill which addresses the issue of the lack of government funding for pediatric cancer research. Even our Moonshot initiative, folks, over here, it's all about, creating incentives for the private sector. But the one thing that most parents have been upset about over the last few years in advocacy has been that 4% number. And nothing, it's just, I don't know. Somebody please write in to cctalkradio at gmail.com and let me know of some other place where government is actively addressing that issue. But this resolution does, without allocating funds or causing any kind of political hoo-ha, it's a very friendly resolution. Using Dipg as a poignant example of the long-standing neglect of pediatric cancer, it asks for greater consideration for survival rates and years of life lost with the NCI research grant process. There's been a long-standing avoidance of acknowledging specific diseases in our governments. But until we're willing to roll up our sleeves and say, we got this, until we really do, and then move on to the next one, we're not going to cure cancer, as we say we want to. And this is easily seen with the progress that we've made because of the advocacy of the Leukemia Lymphoma Society. 40 years ago, it was a death sentence, and now people are surviving. MIB Agents is hosting the first Osteosarcoma Alliance Conference in Florida this February 23rd to 24th, 2017, in Miami. Another example of where grassroots actions are beginning to have wide-reaching effects on the osteosarcoma population. Visit www.MIBagents, that's makeitbetteragents.org for more information. All right, and so now back to our conversation. I'm so happy to have Emma Wrenn with me today, Keira's mom. And Keira is one of our world's pioneers in Dipg research and survival. Because honestly, we are looking to you from here like a shining sun that you are. I can't thank you enough for being with us today and telling us about your journey. And folks, she was just telling me earlier that good old Facebook.
Oh yeah, got on Facebook.
That, you know, social media has played a huge role in helping us all realize it's not so bloody rare. It's, you know, it happens regularly, and God help us, you know, for those people to come. If we're not fighting for solutions, they're not going to have them either. So that's why I keep fighting. And anyway, I was asking you about your town, and you were telling us a little bit about how they really, really rallied around you. And I wanted to know a little bit about what school was like for Keira, if she's still participating, what it's like.
Keira's missed quite a bit of school, especially in the last year. She went back to school part-time this September. She's gone into year 3. And she only goes on a Monday, Friday, but the school, they've been amazing. They fill forms in to enable Keira to have a one-to-one assistant who Keira loves. The head teacher, Debbie Fossa, the Senko lady, they are all amazing. I couldn't imagine doing this without them. I have heard horror stories of children returning to school after a cancer diagnosis where they've been excluded from activities, they've been excluded from their peers, and that's sad, and it shouldn't be that way. We've never had that. We've had amazing care from the school.
That's great. I'm so heartwarmed to hear that. There's some wonderful programs also that foundations create for kids going to schools. I know the Cure Starts Now does a monkey in my chair and actually has, you know, a cute little monkey that the kid gets to put in his school chair, and the kids get to kind of rally around supporting the child from afar when they have to take a break and go to the hospital.
That's lovely.
Stuff like, yeah. So it's really, I think DIPG has inspired a lot of action, because just for so long there was nothing, and it's just so completely life decimating that I know that every now and then I hear from other, you know, pediatric cancer parents. Some of them get frustrated with me for turning to it. It's, you know, sorry for the bias. It's just been my experience. But the thing is, it exemplifies so strongly the issue with most pediatric cancers, and how the research is just, it's ignored. It doesn't get the attention it needs. And so our kids suffer with treatment programs that aren't designed for them. And still some places do practice I know Lisa Spadali has mentioned to me several times, there shouldn't be systemic chemo.
No, I agree with Lisa there. There shouldn't be. I mean, it isn't done at all in the UK for DIPG. And it shouldn't be, because it's making these children ill. It brings up a whole new set of problems on top of everything else they've already got. And it's not going to work in the long run. Exactly.
We didn't do it. All we did was radiation. And I think I was 2 weeks late to do the thing that Dr. Suidan is doing at Cornell, the infusion.
Yeah, the CED.
Without the system. Yes, the CED. Yeah, so things are, because of what you're doing though, new doors are going to be opening up for people. I just know, I
We
still
hope
can't
so.
believe it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's certainly different. It's certainly a blessing. I never thought Keira would be a 27 months after diagnosis, but she is. A lot of that is to do with Stephen Gill, but there is an awful lot of people involved as well. Over a 2-year period, we've had 51 radiation sessions with her radiologist, Dr. Dan Saunders. She's got an amazing paediatric support worker, Fran Mills, a fantastic occupational therapist, Louise Barker, a TA when Keira was having radiation at the hospital school, Kathy Harwood. She set us up with a home tutor. It doesn't just involve one person. There is such a huge team.
Always, right?
Yeah.
And it's, oftentimes the one gets most of the credit, but there's so many, I could name probably 10 researchers right now who've devoted their lives to this disease, and it wasn't even known a few years ago. I mean, look what that does. And it's only because of this collective effort, right?
Yeah, that is true. It's the people who remain in the background that often get forgotten about, the anaesthetists, because every time Keira's an MRI, she has to be put to sleep because of her age. Right. We did try her awake and she danced, so it didn't work. So she does get put to sleep. So there's the anaesthetist, there's the nurses, there's the Macmillan nurses, there's everybody. It's a joint effort.
They're all important. We're going to take another quick break for these messages from our TogiNet sponsors. I'm Janet Demeter for Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, talking today with Emma Wrenn, mom to our star Keira Wrenn, Dipg research pioneer. Don't go away. We have more to talk about, especially concerning this hope for more global collaboration. We'll be right back after this.
Stay tuned. Janet will be right back with more on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, where kids come first for the cure.
Congratulations on being the proud owner of an adorable, soft, cuddly, sweet-smelling, smiling, cooing, hungry, tired, gassy, screaming little bundle of joy. So now what? Where's the owner's manual for this thing? Where are my instructions? Right here. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet.com. Infant care specialist Blythe Lipman has worked with babies for over 20 years and works extensively with new parents, providing workshops, in-home visits, tips, and daily phone calls to ease those frazzled nerves. With Baby and Toddler Instructions, you can get the advice you need on how to survive and enjoy your baby's first year. For more information on Blythe and how she can help you, go to babyinstructions.com. From 32 ways to stop a baby from crying, to 14 ways to get a baby to eat, and so much more. It's Baby and Toddler Instructions with Blythe Lipman on TogiNet.com.
It's words you never heard.
A few years ago, some fishermen off the coast of Italy discovered some pottery along with fish in their nets. Divers were called out and discovered an ancient Roman ship whose galley, or caboose, a nautical term for kitchen, was extremely intact. Some of the food uncovered on board was pickled fish, wine, oil, and grain used to make the ship's biscuits, otherwise known as dandy funks. It is thought the 2,000-year-old boat was probably on its way to Spain when it sunk and was covered by layers of mud, baggy wrinkles and all. Baggy wrinkles are another name for the ship's ropes. The mud protected the ship from wear, explaining why the leftover food on board was still in such good condition. We land lubbers may not be familiar with leftovers on the sea, but we are familiar with leftovers in our kitchen.
It's words you never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
more great conversation on Childhood Cancer Talk Radio, because every child's life deserves hope. Here's Janet.
And we're back, and I'm talking today with Emma Wrenn in the UK. They live in a little town called Alford in Lincolnshire. And little Keira, her daughter, is one of our world's great pioneers of pediatric cancer research. She has fought bravely Dipg, which has been really for the last 50 years a death sentence for the most part. I mean, really, it's very rare that you have kids who are able to engage in certain experimental treatments, and then for those that have a positive effect, we have a few here and there that are more often, I think, hidden. The ones that are making it because, they're just trying to not, they're just trying to get by. But I'm so grateful to you for coming on and talking to us about Keira. Yeah. So looking forward, I know that Keira has a lot of challenges right now. Have the doctors given you any indication of what to expect and kind of like a timeline?
Nobody knows what to expect because no child has ever got to this stage where at the moment there is no evidence of tumour.
That's so awesome.
Dipg. So she's scanned every 8 weeks just to keep an eye on it. They don't know if it's going to regrow. They don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
We are heading to London next week to meet with the oncologist, the new oncologist who will be part of the CED trial, which was in Bristol and is now relocated to London. And we're going to meet him so that in preparation, if it does regrow, everything's set in place for us to go straight back to have more infusions and to hopefully, touch wood, keep defeating this.
Absolutely. I had heard of a child. The child had a twin also who's, of course, living because she wasn't afflicted. But I remember hearing that at the time of her death, she had had Dipg, that she had gone through a very controversial treatment. There's a lot of controversy about her currently. We don't even discuss it in social media circles because people fight. But
yes, I'm well aware of who you're on about.
Yes, but at any rate, I have heard of a child. When they did the autopsy, they found that there was no evidence of tumor because it was more of a natural treatment that she had, but it's possible. But this girl is surviving, and that is so amazing. We're just looking to you with love and hope and support in every way. We so want you to win through this.
We're working on it.
Well, having to learn everything, all the body's movements all over again and she's already
difficult.
So how far along is she in that process?
She was doing exceptionally well. She was starting to walk independently again.
Wow.
We were starting to learn to practice climbing stairs, and then unfortunately she got struck with a chest infection. And this chest infection was a quite serious one, and it knocked off her feet for the best part of 3 weeks, and she had 3 or 4 lots of different antibiotics because they weren't working. So now we're relearning everything we had got to at that stage. She's also had a massive growth spurt, and the physio that we work with have said when an able-bodied child, healthy child, has a growth spurt, they don't think about it. It's a natural thing. But when a child is already learning to rewalk and everything else that goes with it, they notice it. And there's a little bit of fear surrounding Keira at the moment that she's going to see a psychologist for. And she's also working with our support worker, Fran Mills, on trying to overcome that confidence barrier.
Sure.
So that she can relearn how to carry this extra height
Well, it sounds like you have a wonderful team of caring professionals assembled, because I can't even imagine how frightening it would be. I mean, from what you told me just a minute ago, we don't know how things are going to progress. You're like, you're on the edge.
Don't. We never in a million years expected to get this far. And we are amazed that we are. And childhood cancer, it's not one person's fight, as we've learned. It affects everybody. It affects the family, the community. It affects everybody worldwide.
Yeah.
There's not just one doctor that we can say, he's done this, he's done that. We've got a massive, massive support team. In fact, in the whole of UK, and I speak to several parents in the UK, we have actually got one of the best support teams that you can imagine. I make a phone call if I need anything for Keira. It's delivered to me. Anything I need to help her, if I need respite, they're on it. If I need help with form filling, they're there. I've had our support worker around this afternoon helping me fill forms in for this, that, and the other.
Wow. So I'm hoping that you. I heard that one of our former guests here, just actually a couple of weeks ago, Marissa Martinez and Miss Zamora. I'm hoping that hopefully you guys will meet, right?
Yeah, we're heading to London next Thursday for an appointment with Sergios on the Friday, and we're hoping to go and meet Marissa and Zamora after we've seen the doctor.
Wow, that's a case that I've been just following closely as a mom, and because I look after the Dipg groups and the childhood cancer groups on Facebook, but she just has also captured my heart, especially they had a difficult time when they had gotten their first infusion, right?
Yeah, they did. In the same way that Keira had a difficult time as well. So there's sort of a connection how they both went to hell and back during that first infusion, and they're both still here to tell the tale. And I'm in regular contact with Marissa, and I know she's in London. I was hoping to go up before Christmas to see her, but I didn't think that was going to be possible. But now we've had this appointment for, it sort of worked in well, and that I can actually see her while they're there.
Oh, I hope so. Because when she had that difficulty after the first infusion, I was afraid, for a while there, I was afraid she wasn't going to ever come out of it. And then when I saw a smile,
I think it shocked us all, and I think we was all scared that things weren't going to go to plan.
Well, we'll be looking forward to hearing how she progresses, because from the last I had seen, she's, enjoys significant periods of consciousness and happiness and looking around and that beautiful little face. And we're just so happy also that she has Keira to look ahead to. That
Thank
inspiration is so important. I honestly really do believe it plays a part in kids' encouragement and being able to take that next step forward and believe in their getting better.
It certainly does. It's a very difficult journey to go on. This is, and you learn constantly. And having the support network, such as other DIPG mums, such as you, Lisa, Marissa, Anna, Mandy, Matteo, all of them, you become a sort of a family because you know what the other one's feeling.
Yeah, and you're pioneering us all. Really, Emma? We're looking to you.
Yeah, I get a lot of messages daily.
Wow. Gosh, so what is next for Keira in school? She's I know you said she was going a couple days a week. Are they happy with her progress and her level? I bet she's a bright little child.
She is, but she's also missed a lot of schooling, so she's quite behind her peers, so they're helping her catch up. At the moment, they're just getting ready. They're doing Christmas decorations and Christmas crafts, and she's asked if she could stay for the Christmas dinner at school. So I spoke to the head teacher. She said she's going to change her day that week and stay and have the Christmas lunch. Yeah, she's loving school. She's liking being back with her friends, especially her best friend Lexi, and they've been best friends since they were 2.
Oh, good. And so what is the next step for you all? Are you just kind of going from scan to scan, or how is it going?
We operate on a daily basis. We don't forward plan. We head into London next week to meet Sergios. He will probably provide his own scan, and we just take it. Every time we have a scan, we see what happens, because nobody knows.
Right. Well, it sounds like she's doing immensely well. I know I've heard some stories, when if the tumor does go away, all sorts of complications from that, and it sounds like she's hanging in there really, really well.
Yeah, at the moment she's doing really, really well. She can talk, she eats, she hasn't got no swallowing problems whatsoever, which is quite commonly associated with DIPG.
Right.
The only thing that she majorly struggles with, and that's not DIPG related, although it can be, is her walking. But hers is caused through posterior fossa syndrome. At the moment, she's symptom-free from DIPG.
That's amazing. I'm so grateful to you for coming on today. We're just about out of time, but I wanted to thank you, and I'm hoping so much that we can have you back to check in at the next stage. Good. I'm so glad. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Janet.
We wish you all the best. Big hugs and kisses to Keira. You've been listening to Childhood Cancer Talk Radio. I've talked with Emma Wrenn today in the UK. We're dealing with DIPG, and oh my goodness, a survivor.
I see them blue for me and you.
We hope you have found inspiration from today's show. For more about Janet Demeter and her mission, visit jacksangels.org. As founder and president, Janet strives to assure that children with cancer and their parents have a voice.